All right, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Tigers Unmuted and with our very generous guest, Mikayla Mosteller. My name's Cole Clendening. I'll be the runner show today, and I'll let the rest of the group introduce themselves.
I'm Cole.
I'm Mary.
I'm Layne.
And I'm Charlie.
All right, so Mikayla, could you
Yes.
start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yes, so I am the Assistant Director of Videoboard Operations at Duke University, and I started in sports, gosh, almost 10 years ago. And yeah, I was in high school whenever I started at the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, and then I started out as a camera operator there, directing some, and then went into um, after high school, went to college at Coastal Carolina, did a lot of broadcasting stuff there for directing, producing the Sean and Claire Sports Network. Thought I wanted to be on the camera, did some on camera stuff at first, and then moved primarily to behind the camera. Went to the University of Alabama for my master's in community journalism, and then really knew that I wanted to be behind the camera directing and producing shows. So in 2022, after I graduated from there, went to the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina, director of video productions there for a year and a half, or no, not a year and a half. Was it a year and a half? Yes, it was a year and a half. And then ended up getting the job at Duke in February of 2024. And I've been there for 2 years now, which is wild. And it's been great producing the shows there for the video board. So it's not broadcast per se. It's now I transitioned to in-house, which is the video board side, doing football, basketball, volleyball, swim and dive, and softball are my primary sports. So it's been a lot of fun learning about that and doing that.
That's awesome. Would you mind describing to the audience what a typical day in the life looks like at work?
Yes. Well, first of all, let's start off. It's not a 9 to 5. It's very much, working on the weekends, working today's Sunday. Usually I would be working today, but I'm not scheduled to work. And there's not a game per se that I need to be at. We do have events going on. There's about 270 events a year, athletic wise. And then we have graduation and we have other side events as well that we put on. Um, so yeah, so I, wake up and this is a normal day, not a game day. I'll walk you through two things. So one is not a game day. Go in around 10, 10:30, 11, and then I do my work at my desk and getting headshots together, getting player bios, anything relating to video boards, stats, um, just new animations, like a replay wipe or anything like that, videos as well, marketing videos, and then around 4:30, somewhere around there. Then I leave, and then sometimes I don't come back the next day, and that is Tuesday because we have a game on Saturday. So I take Tuesday off, and then I work on Saturday and Sunday. So like I said, definitely not a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then a game day, for example, football. Let's say, I mean, everyone's into football. You guys have Clemson football there. I'll relate. So, football, you I get there, let's say the kick is at 6 p.m. So essentially get there about 4 or 5 hours before kick and just making sure everything is set, ready. Game days are usually pretty chill because everything is prepped throughout the week. So when I was mentioning what I was doing at my desk earlier, that is essentially what I'm doing to prep for game day. So game day is usually more a little bit laid back and you're ready to produce the show, and you're ready to put on a show for the fans in the stadium.
It's awesome. What's your favorite part of your job?
That's a good question. I really like I really like my job for one. I really like the people there, the good atmosphere that we have, good work environment, I should say. The atmosphere, though, I definitely want to put on a good show for the fans. So, producing is a lot of fun. That is getting the replays ready. Um, like it's all live, so everything is like live production. And so, whenever something happens, it's like, all right, we're going to this replay, and then we're coming out with this stat. So just like, I guess, working on the fly. A lot of times in production, it's not something that can be scripted to the exact point. There's a lot of things where it's like, okay, we're doing this. Oh, well, hot timeout, and we have to switch everything. So just working on the fly. And I think that's given me a lot of, even in my like personal life and outside of work, I can adjust pretty easily to things because of that.
Awesome, awesome. How is it working under pressure like that? How do you handle that, mentally and actually doing that work in a crunch time situation like that?
Yes. So, back to my Pelican days whenever I worked there, and then at Coastal, there's pressure as like a camera operator and getting things right and directing and um, putting things right on the score and everything. And I remember one time, I'll tell you a story. So one time there was a lot going on. There's a lot of events going on at Coastal during spring. And I'll never forget, it was actually against Duke, which is hilarious now. But it was against Duke, and we Coastal walked it off, and I accidentally hit the button like too many times, and the score went up like, I don't know, 7-4 or something, and it was supposed to be 6-4, something like that. And it was this huge thing, and so that was a lot of pressure, and I was like, I'm definitely like getting fired, even though I was like a student. But yeah, so that was a lot of pressure. But now, as like a full-time person in pressure, I would say that there's a level of pressure. I mean, you want to put on a good show, but as we say in the industry, we're not curing cancer. My fiance is actually doing that. He's UNC getting his PhD. So he is actually curing cancer. So it's actually kind of funny, joking when I was younger of not curing cancer. So there's not much pressure in that sense of getting everything right to, um, making sure it's the right replay, not going to black by accident, pressing the wrong thing. It's not the end of the world, and even on broadcast, it's not the end of the world either. So I would say, yeah. And how do I handle it? I don't know. I've recently developed a lot of, I guess, just energy, like nervous energy. Like right before tip, I'm like, okay, we have to get through this pregame stuff, and I shake my leg. And I've never really done that, so that's something new that I've kind of developed. I guess just getting the energy out, per se. So yeah.
All right,
Would
sweet.
you, oh, sorry.
You know,
Would you
you got
say
it.
like when you're working like with the video board and stuff, like do you have like pre-planned like messages or like stuff you do for like certain scenarios, like in case there's like an emergency or like a weather delay? Do y'all like
Yes. Yeah, so we have those scripted out. We have this thing, it's like an emergency message that goes out before the game, and so that is like a message. It's not on the board. It's just like internally it's out there for fire and EMS to see that it's working. So we have that in case we need to put that up. And then we also have graphics that we make as well, and again, that's my work at my desk that I'm doing. That those graphics go up. So there's heat management, there's weather delay, lightning, an incident that the stadium needs to be cleared, so things like that.
All right, sweet. So I know we already talked about, a little bit about background, but I wanted to know, how'd you find yourself in your current position? Like, what was the door that opened that really allowed you to get into the industry and branch out through there?
It's a good question. Okay, so first it was started when I was 8 years old, and I was like, I want to be in front of the camera, reporting, calling games per se, and like reporting on the players on sidelines. That was like the goal. And then, I mean, I kind of touched on this earlier, but yeah, so then I realized I didn't want to do that. And so I don't really know if there was like a point that I really like knew. I just kind of knew I was like, I don't want to do that. I rather just punch buttons with my hands essentially because that's what you're doing on the switcher. You're like pressing buttons, and so I really like that. And yeah, I'm trying to think. And also it's really hard to get into the industry on the camera side. So I knew that I was like, okay, I want to do this. I want to be in sports. So how am I going to do that? So I was like, okay, well, there's behind the scenes and there's way more jobs for that, way more positions. So I'll try that. And so that's what I did. And then for my current job, I just saw an application in a newsletter because I applied to Duke like 2, 3 other times. And so I was on their newsletter. And then this was the first thing that popped up. And I was looking to leave my previous employer at the Citadel. And then I got the job at Duke. So doors just open and everything happens for a reason. So.
All right. And what skills or experiences are important for college students to have in order to get to your level?
It's a good question. Internships are huge. I job shadowed in high school, went to a sports broadcasting camp, um, interned, well, did the the Chanticleer Sports Network, um, did internship at the University of Alabama. So, I mean, just I really was like I really knew what I wanted to do, so I was like very like on it. But I mean, even if you get one internship, like that's good. And you definitely need experience in like a newsroom or a sports per se sporting thing. And shout out to Don Scott at Clemson. He is the video board producer per se there. He does a lot of marketing stuff. So anyone listening to this podcast at Clemson, if they want to get into what I'm doing, they should definitely reach out to him. So,
Very helpful. Thank you.
I also had a question based on Cole's previous question. And it was about like you mentioned like being behind the camera, and I wondered like I used to get to stuff in your position, how important is to have knowledge about like a wealth of knowledge about how cameras work.
that is important. I would say, as your uh yeah, you never know where you're gonna end up. And so like for me, whenever I was at the Citadel, it was just me. And I was the full-time person. I had to like know a lot about cameras and I had to figure all that out. So the more that you can learn about it now, do it because that's something I didn't really have in college. I didn't really take the time to like learn that. It was more of like, okay, in front of the camera, directing, producing, and that was pretty much it. So the more that you can learn about like individual cameras like DSLRs, Canons, broadcast type of cameras, all those things, and pretty much anything. And like After Effects, anything creative suites, definitely do that in college while you have the time, while you have the resources to have those available to you. Because they will come in handy. Luckily now at Duke we have an engineer and we have people and my boss knows a lot about cameras. So I can always fall back on that. But if you're in the position where you're in the middle of nowhere, Montana at a news station or something and you need to know this, that would be good to know.
Yeah, thank you.
I had a
All
quick,
right.
I had a quick question. Like when you're working during a game, like how big is your team? Like how many different components work together to like get all like the video board production and all that?
Yes. So there we have a room. We have monitors, 8 monitors on the wall. There's a bench in the front, and then there's a bench in the back. So the bench in the front, it sits the TD slash director. TD is technical director. And then the producer, and then graphics, and then like a camera operator. So 4 right there. And then in the back there's replay machines. And this varies between college and pro and like bigger shows. So there could be like 5 tape ops versus we have 2. And we could have more. We have the capability to have more, but for a video board show, it's not much. Or it's not like a broadcast. I would say our video board show is there's a lot of resources and a lot of people that we have. But for, a big show, we don't have, like I said, 5 replays. So replay in the back and then more camera operators. So for a video board show, I would say 10, 8 to 10 people in the control room. And then out in the arena or the stadium, we have camera operators, and there's about 4 or 5 camera operators, and that's could be for broadcast, and then 2 for video board usually, or sometimes there's 3. And there's stationary cameras that we have on tripods, and then there's wireless cameras that we have with cameras on their shoulder, and they're out roaming around getting fan shots.
Sweet. How do video board operators use different visuals or messaging to help control the tone or energy in the arena when something unexpected happens during a game?
Good question. So sorry I keep saying that, but these are great questions. You guys
I
have
appreciate it.
facilitated great questions here. Um, so yes, so say for instance there's an injury or something. I mean, that's like out of the ordinary. That's not part of the flow of a game. We just put up a looper graphic. Um, if there's a review that's happening, so with different video boards, shows are depending on the sport. So for football and basketball, we produce all of that. We're switching cameras, we're doing all these things. For softball and baseball, it's just a static look and there's no replays on the board. That's not everywhere, everywhere's different, but at Duke, that's how we run it. The graphics for like a official review at softball and baseball is just like a graphic, like the plays under review, very static. For football and basketball, we show the replays, we show what's going on, and then we have the call. We make sure that we show the ref with the call. If there's a like a something that happens on the court or on the field that a person runs out onto the court or onto the field or something, we just cover it up with a looper. I mean, we don't do anything that and also you don't want to alert the fans in like a negative way, and like you don't want to draw attention to it. And then also if like there is like an actual emergency, we would put something up. But if it's not an emergency, we would just like go to looper, which is like just our D thing that's like animating and it's kind of like moving. So
All right, and when there's a controversial call or a tense moment in the stadium, how does the video board team help manage the crowd's reaction? Like I know you were saying earlier where you put the points up on the board and it was incorrect. Something similar to that situation.
yes, so luckily, we have things where they're linked to the in-stadium score. So for that instance, like it would be like the score person that put the wrong score up. But for a call, that is tough because as a producer, you're like, okay, do you want to show this? Do you not? So you do have to think on the fly as well. And so I'm trying to think of like an incident or a situation, but essentially your home team broadcast is very unbiased, and they are like, both teams. Video board, all Duke. You want to shame. Sometimes you want to shame the visiting team. If they get an air ball, you show them doing the air ball chant, and then you show the air ball on a replay. But like for like a official review or something for football, we have this like animation that comes in and it says like official review, and then it comes to like the actual like review that is showing on TV. Since we have those inputs in our replay machine, and so we're showing the actual feed that's from the broadcast, and then we just get out of it. And then I mean sometimes the fans are booing or they're cheering or whatever. But you definitely want it to be Duke centered. If it was like a flagrant on Duke or something like in basketball, you probably like I probably wouldn't show that, or I would show it in full speed. And I mean, if it was really bad, I would probably show it in full speed. And so then you wouldn't get the crowd like riled up. Or if it's like, oh my gosh, like how was that even a flagrant? I would probably slow it down and then the fans would get riled up and, boo the ref and all that. Um, so yeah, I mean, it just depends on the situation. But yeah, you have to be aware of that too, of like, okay, what do you want? Do you want them to get loud? Do you not want them to get loud? If they're on offense, we have this thing for football. It's like quiet offense at work that we put up sometimes because we don't want the fans to be loud whenever they're in the huddle trying to make a play.
So
Oh,
what you were just saying about sorry. Um what you were just saying about like kind of being conscious of how the fans are like I'm like as you're speaking right now, I realize like at the video board how much it controls the fans' emotions, like the influence it has. So I'm wondering if there's any like specific guidelines you have to follow in terms of influencing that flow, or if it's just like based on good judgment.
I would say good judgment. I mean, sometimes we get it wrong and we're like, we put something up and it's like against Duke and then, there's not really backlash, but it's like, okay, you probably shouldn't have shown that. And like the fans per se aren't really like there's no reaction to that really. Because obviously if it's like a bad call and it's actually like good, then they're gonna cheer or something. Um, but also NCAA has rules as well, so we have to like follow those rules. Especially in football, there's some rules like you can only show it once, stuff like that. Um, I'm not really like keen, I guess, on the rules per se. I think it's also softball and baseball are like super strict on that, but we don't do in venue replays or even live shots. So that I'm not like briefed on, I guess. Um but yeah, um the emotion of the fans, yeah, really go off of what we put on the video board. For instance, we've been doing this thing this year called a fun roll where it's fan engagement. It's not, where you're gonna get boos or whatever. It's not during the game. It's during timeouts or during pregame. And so I noticed that the Cameron Crazies, this is for basketball, Cameron Crazies, I watched it because like I can see all the cameras and we have PTZs on the video board and so I can zoom in on fans. And I saw these fans and I saw her mouth. That was it. And so the next game I ended up putting in like all like probably I don't know 8 minutes worth of like fun roll things besides graphics. Because before I just had graphics and like a little bit of like spot the difference, emoji puzzles, blur photos, like guess the player. Those are the type of fun roll things, and that gets fans engaged. So you want to also keep fans engaged pre-game, which is I know this is not relating to your question, but I'm going off on another topic here. Um, and yeah, so you want to make sure fans are engaged with as soon as they walk in the door. So that also involves marketing with music, with lights, with the team coming out, all of that.
Yeah. And also one more thing is like, do you have like for this podcast we have to do a run a show document
Hmm.
like by like like timestamps and saying like any script language or any like lighting changes? Do you guys have to write that down before or after?
Yes, so I personally do not because the marketing person does that. So we work heavily with them. Um, at some facilities, like at Clemson, um, they they have like the marketing video board are together, but here at Duke we have um video board as a separate entity of marketing, but they work together. So they have the script. So meaning marketing has the script. They put all the scripts down and they say the graphic and then they have like if there's a video, it's green. Yeah, it's green. And then it says like audio from video. And then there's like if there's light changes, same thing. So, short answer or long answer is that. Short answer is yes, we have to have that and that keeps everyone organized and on timing as well. So,
I had a quick question, kind of going back to like the importance of like the fan engagement. Have you ever had
Mhm.
like a moment in your career where you put something on the video board and you might have like sensed like a change in momentum and kind of like thought like, whoa, like I might have had like an impact on that game or like really feel like you contributed to like the flow of the game?
Yes, that I feel like I have had that. Yes. Can I think of a specific example at this moment? No, but I feel like I remember saying out loud of like, "Oh wow, that like really changed the atmosphere." I don't know if it was football or basketball. It's one of them, but I do know that like if I put up replays and the fans are like, "What was that?" Like the foul per se, because a lot of times we show baskets, which like, everyone's gonna be hyped over that, but fouls, that's like, okay, where was the foul? And so I would say in those instances, that's where the most draw comes in because fans are looking up and they're like, we want to see what's going on and we want the replay of that because they're looking at it in full speed. So if I could slow it down and tell my operator, all right, slow it down, zoom in, and then it like change the atmosphere. Yes. Um there are times whenever, we have a hot timeout per se, and that's whenever we're going on a run, a coach the visiting coach calls a timeout, and then it's so that's why it's called a hot timeout because we play like shots and everyone gets hyped in there, and then you play the replays, like all the angles pretty much of the replay, and you get everyone hyped. So those are like the big moments where like it changes. The fans are already hyped, but they um could be even more hyped because of the music and the replay.
All right. And how closely does a video board team coordinate with game operations or communication staff to guide the fan experience during difficult moments? And is there like a chain of command that comes down? They're like, oh, don't say this, don't put this up there, or is it up to you individually?
As far as like facilities and game operations, no, I don't really work with them on like a regular basis or like a game day or like during the show. But like if there's like there are some times where there's meetings, but it doesn't really pertain to me, I guess. So no, I don't heavily work with them. But the staff of the sporting or of the team itself, so football, basketball, they are talking to marketing, which then tells us because we're not directly in those meetings. But for instance, the quiet out offense, that was something that football wanted to implement. So then we decided, okay, yeah, we'll do that. Sometimes they say, we want to implement this, and we're like, like let's still work through this. Let's talk about it. And that's usually with marketing, not with like football or anyone. It's usually with marketing. And then we come up with uh not a solution, but like an idea that works well with everyone per se. If we don't want to do something that football is suggesting or even basketball. But for the most part, we're pretty good with like saying, yes, we can do that, or no, we can't do that. And I mean, it's all collaborative. But the sports teams and coaches and all that, they have their own, they want to see like what they want to see on the board. So yeah.
Very nice. All right. Does anybody else in the group have any questions they'd like to ask?
As a personal UNC fan, how did you feel about the game yesterday in terms of like Duke and kind of just like the marketing, the video board, the strategies behind that game?
Yes. So I'll tell you a little background about myself first because it's actually pretty funny. And then I'll go into this. So, um growing up, huge, huge, huge Duke fan, like biggest Duke fan you can think of. And I would despised UNC. I was like, I just like cannot, like, no. No, like no blue, like that color blue, like no. And now working at Duke, it's great because I'm like, yes, like this is great. This is the right color blue, and everything. And now I'm about to be married, and I'm about to have a lot of blue in my household from my fiance of UNC. So that's kind of a fun little tidbit of my personal life per se. And so yeah. But me as a Duke employee and as a huge Duke fan, I want to make sure that I market Duke well. And so making sure that the graphics look well and uh the um the video board show. I will say as a home team for Duke, I did, show some UNC things yesterday that I knew in my head. I was like, okay, and I do this with other teams too. I'm like, okay, shame this team per se. And last night there's an air ball, and I definitely was like, all right, let's show this right now. We had the air ball chant going, and then I just showed the air ball, and it was great. So yeah.
All right. Anyone else have any other final questions?
I don't know if I heard you right. You're marrying a Tar Heel, is that true?
Yes. Yes, I
Wow.
am. Yeah, he's not big into sports, but yes, he went to Cal State Fullerton and then is doing grad school here. That's how I met him. Um was here in Durham, and so he's going to UNC, and we will have a UNC plaque like in our house one day because he's going to graduate from there with his doctorate. So yes, it's pretty funny. My 16-year-old self would be vomiting, but
Hmm.
my 25-year-old self is like, I'm okay. I'm not that in tune with the rivalry anymore as I was as a 16-year-old.
Hmm. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
congratulations. And
Yeah.
also your husband working with cancer. That's awesome too.
Yes, yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, he's doing great work. He's currently there right now working. So,
All right. Well, that's everything we have. I'd like to thank you for your time today. Thank you so much for joining us here and talking to us.
yes, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed the podcast. It went by way quicker. I didn't know what the podcast was going to be about or what kind of questions, but it was great. It was about my job. So, hey, that was great. I really enjoyed it and really enjoyed talking about what I do at Duke and the industry itself.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Yes, thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
And also, where can we or like do you feel like you want to plug any socials where people can find you?
Yeah. Um yes. Yes, you can find me on my LinkedIn. And it should just be Mikayla Mosteller. First and last name, it'll say Duke University. You'll see me. You'll see my headshot. Um, so yeah, and they can reach out to me there. And I'd be happy to connect. Always happy to connect with people that want to be in this industry. So anyone listening to this podcast, any classmates, anyone you know, please reach out to me and I will get you. I'll be happy to talk with you about any questions that you have. And like I said, I know Don Scott there at Clemson, so can definitely get you firsthand experience quickly there at Clemson.
All right. Thank you so much, Michaela.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
All right. So that was our guest, Michaela Mosteller. And now we have some reflection questions. So, first off, what was the most interesting thing y'all learned from the guests about their role in video board operations?
I kind of already mentioned it in a follow-up question I asked her, but the how I didn't realize how I had never like really thought about how much influence the video board has over the or could have over the sway of the game and how fans are interacting like she mentioned a lot like I like don't want to have to rile the fans up because she doesn't want like I don't know whatever might happen. So I thought that was one where it's like sometimes you think video board operations they just have like play the replays, play the show the shots, or just like have like that at Clemson games they'll have like the ball shuffle or like the Howard's Rock shuffle and you just like keep the people entertained. But I think it's like there's also kind of a bit of an art there and where you have to have good judgment about what to show and when and how that's going to affect um the energy in the room.
Yeah, I agree with Cole. I think I didn't realize how much of the influence it really did have, especially on the fans. You know, you watch it from home, but it's obviously not the same as like being there in person. I've been to a Duke UNC basketball game when I was younger, and now like looking back on it after hearing her explain like what she does and everything, I can definitely understand how that would be really stressful, but I guess she said she handles it really well, which I think she really does. I couldn't imagine doing that. But especially like it's just like the influence it has on the fans' reactions is just really important to the overall just game in general.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting like how quickly like they have to react to like in situations like it's kind of on the spot with a lot of stuff they do and like how much time like goes in. Like she said she was like in her office for like a couple hours and stuff like before getting everything prepared. So just like that was interesting to hear.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when she said that like the easiest part of her day was the game itself, and like kind of like how much they prepare for the shit, like prepare for the games. I just assumed that like during the games would be like the most stressful part of like the job, but she made it seem like almost all the work is done before the game, and once the game starts, it's kind of just like putting all the hard work you do all week into those couple hours.
Um, I think the most interesting thing was her talking about the production of everything, the room with the monitors. You know, as someone who's watched sports her whole life, I've always wondered how that goes and like the people behind it putting the replays up there, how they choose when to put a replay up on the screen. Um, and her talking about the speed of it. Like if there's a flagrant against Duke, she's gonna run at normal speed, but if there's something where it's like a foul that shouldn't have been a foul, she's gonna run it slow and then get the fans all riled up. I think that was pretty cool.
Uh,
Um,
oh, sorry, you're good.
all right. How did the guest background and career path influence the way you're gonna approach your career?
Um, when you call ask the question about like um whichever was the one where she answered, she's like um internships, and just like being active on stuff like LinkedIn. Like I feel like that's what most people say because it's like true. It's usually I think just don't overthink it. I think a lot of people just probably me included is like overthinking and then end up not doing anything at all. So it's just like just do something, just to speak with someone because I think even booking people for this show, it's like, oh wow, it's that easy to just get someone on a Zoom call on a Sunday. So just don't overthink it.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting kind of how she started in coastal Carolina and then made her way to Durham. Because I feel like, um, I mean, Duke has such a huge industry, especially because, I mean, it's like a private Ivy school. And I just thought it was like really interesting to see how, you know, she starts off in Coastal, which is an amazing school. And then she just applied like multiple times, kept getting it, like she kept trying, and then she was able to have an amazing opportunity at Duke. I think it's really just keep pushing your opportunities. Um, and like Cole said, don't really overthink it and just pursue what you want to pursue.
Yeah, and she even talked about like how even in high school she was working like with like broadcasting and stuff and like getting that experience. So I would say like my takeaway would be like get like a bunch of experience and stuff and like she seemed to have that and like just by checking her email she said like she saw an application and like took it, which everything moves pretty fast, like especially in like the marketing and like broadcasting world, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like the big thing is just like getting your foot in the door, and like she talked about like how like her dream job was always to work at Duke, but like she actually started off at Coastal, so it's important to just like get that experience anywhere because like you never know where it'll lead, and kind of just like get as much experience and get your foot in the door to yeah.
Going off of what Mary said, how Michaela told us she applied to Duke multiple times, I just think consistency and persistence and trying to get the job you want is the most important thing. You know, your motivation, drive, and dedication to getting the position that you're looking for is something that everyone should take note for themselves. All right. What part of the guest job sounded most exciting or rewarding to you and why?
Um, I like I said it before, it's like having that power to influence the audience in the arena, in the stadium, whatever, in the building. And maybe influence the game. Not so much influence the game because I don't wanna like mess with the game if I don't like have to, but I want that to be untouched. But like I guess that's one thing. I we didn't get to talk to her too much about marketing, but like at Clemson you're gonna have those Death Valley videos where it's like I think they got a new one, but it was like they don't put rings on soft hands or something. And they like stuff like that. It's I think it's like, when you press the button to let that one go and all the lights go off and there's the smoke and the fireworks, it's like I feel like that would be the most rewarding.
I agree. I think she said like the air ball thing, which I thought was funny because I definitely would want to do that. I mean, if it was like a rival game and the opponent airballed, I'm gonna want to broadcast that. But no, I agree. It's just like the fan engagement. I mean, part of having a fan base is being able to let them know that like their team is the best, like they want to be the best, they're competitive and etc. So I think it's honestly just the most rewarding is just keeping such an insane fan base throughout the sports season, whatever sport it is.
Yeah, I agree with both of them. Being able to be like directly involved and like getting like in the live atmosphere and getting the fans like engaged and stuff. And like Mary said, the air ball and stuff, like you have like you're able to get the fans riled up when you want to and stuff. And it sounded like she had a lot of freedom and like what she was able to like put on the board and stuff with the games, like Cole said. So that just seemed very exciting.
Yeah, I feel like it seems like really rewarding to kind of like directly see like the response to like the work you do right away from the fans and like being able to like connect the fans to the game. And so I actually have like a quick question. If anyone like, do you all have like a favorite like when you're at like a sporting event, they put like the fans like on like the jumbotron. Do you have like a favorite little thing that teams do to like kind of connect?
Yeah, I always like the cup ones where it's like they put something under a cup and like move it around.
I like the great hair cam. Just a bunch of dudes shaking their mullets and stuff. I think that's awesome.
I like the look-alike competitions. Those are
Yeah,
pretty good.
that's what I was gonna say too.
Oh yeah, those ones are good.
Yeah, I was like lookalikes or the other one is like dance like dance competitions or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I always think of the guy at a Timberwolves game when Kevin Garnett was still playing and he like went insane. He like took his shirt off. He had a giant like I don't know what he had. He had like KG or something painted on his chest and he was like going up and down the aisles and he just I don't know if it was like scripted or what, but one of those
Yeah.
moments.
That's awesome. It's kind of monotonous, but to what all of y'all said, I think just getting the crowd juiced up and getting them actively, invested in the game in the moment is great. Last weekend, I went to the Louisville Clemson basketball game with my dad, and I don't know if y'all have been, but there are like these wristbands they hand out now. They're like on your seat, and you put it on it, and it's some sort of like hive mind technology where they turn all the lights off. And it's like if you've ever seen a Coldplay concert with like all the lights, across the entire stadium, it's like everyone's flashlight but on your wrist. And it's really cool. It's like a mini light show. Um,
I think I
that
know what
seems
you're
really
talking
cool.
about. It's like they all like pulse at the same rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's sometimes
What
like a wave that goes around in different colors. It's cool.
They also
yeah.
have like done that with like your flashlight. There's like an app you download for like some games. I think it might have been like USC or something, but you
Yeah.
like download an app and like your flash goes at the same time. Like everyone just has their flash on.
Yeah, I think it's just the Clemson Tigers app, and there's a little like the three lines. There's something over there. It's like be a part of the light show.
That's cool. Yeah. All right. What skills or experiences mentioned in the interview do you think are most important for us as college students who want to work, you know, in entertainment and sports media or game production in the future?
Um, well, I did ask that question about how important it is to have cameras, like knowledge about cameras, because usually camera people, also people in like Clemson athletics can get a little snobbish and gatekeepy with that information. Like they pretend like you don't, like why don't you already know this? I'm like, bro, like for real. So it'd be nice to already know that, but it's also like she said, you're not gonna be the only person who does or doesn't understand cameras. Like there's if you're gonna be in um say like a Duke UNC basketball game, there's gonna be who knows how many camera operators, and she says there's like 8 to 10 people in that um back room with the video board. So it's like or like the 8 monitors on in the room. So I don't think it's like I think what I feel is more valuable is like having that good judgment and having that vision with like exactly who and what to show and when, down to like half a second. Like I think if I feel like having those instincts is a little more valuable. You should know something about cameras, but I think most people do, especially now. So I think that those kind of instincts and that judgment is going to be very valuable.
I agree. I think just like the instincts and honestly, like I feel like you kind of have to have like the overall view of sports. Kind of like if you grew up with sports, it's a lot easier to like understand what's gonna engage the fans. That's not necessarily a skill, but I think just like the paying attention to what is gonna drive that engagement is just yeah, like the instinct, the experiences, and obviously the cameras. I know nothing about cameras, so um, but I just think, yeah, just making sure when to do the fan engagement, what to post, when to post, that type of thing.
Yeah, I agree. And like just she says she was working with like multiple other people and stuff, so just like teamwork and stuff like that. Um, just general stuff like that. I feel like it's a good skill to have, especially when there's so much like that goes into like one thing with the video boards, just that communication aspect.
I feel like all like their experiences she talked about that like help get to where she is. Like the importance of just like reaching out to people and like finding mentors and like getting help, like not being afraid to like I mean like we got her on our podcast, so it's like you never know who could help you and yeah, stuff like that.
I think going towards the side of experience is more, I mean, she said she was in this industry for the past 10 years and she's 25. So, I mean, you do the math. She started out when she was 15 years old. Um, I think, her getting into it early definitely helped. And just kind of hearing how she bounced around different places until she finally got to her desired spot at Duke is something that everyone should, take note of. Like I said earlier, you don't have to just go to one spot and be content. You can keep going and moving around until you're at your desired position.
Yeah, could I add to what you just said that
Yeah.
like I feel like some people, also including me, also think like she said she was like a lifelong Duke fan, and it's like she went to Coastal and Citadel and all those places before she got there, and she was able to do that. Like I feel like people will think they're gonna get the job and they're gonna be there like 10 years or something, like, and they have to be comfortable. Like, no, you can leave after like 6 months, a year, 2 years. It's like fine, and then you're gonna have that on your resume and you're gonna have those skills. And I feel like if you just look at people on LinkedIn, like so many people move around so much I feel like the workforce is a lot more, that your career path is a lot more malleable than one thinks. And especially like Rachel last episode, she like was at Fox Carolina for like a year and a half, and then she just jumped. She was able to get on to a pro sports team as their like main video editor for that. So it's not always a direct path, and you don't have to stick in one place for a while.
It's a great point, Cole. Um, all right, last question. So based on the interview, how much influence do you think video board operations have on shaping the narrative or mood during live sporting events? No, we kind of talked about that earlier.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's definitely we definitely covered it, but I think like it's one of those things where like you don't like they could just have purely like the informative things, like just show the score and just show the play. But it's like there's so much more like during timeouts and halftime you're gonna get the crowd riled up and you're gonna play like Mikayla was talking about, if it's a depending on if it's like an injury hit in football game or it's like a foul call that's like not really contestable but it's against Duke or something. Um she may think that's how she like weighs if she's gonna play it in slow motion or if she's gonna play it in full speed. Um but I think the role it is entertainment as well, just as much as it is if you're watching it at home on broadcast. Um yeah.
Yeah, I really think it does influence everything. I mean, obviously the players in the game and how that's going, but I mean, if you're just watching a game, you can obviously get, I mean, this may be controversial, but like bored almost. You want to like stay engaged. You want to be able to like keep watching the game. You want to watch the game. So I think it really just, I think it dictates the entire mood of everyone in the stadium.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a major aspect of like in-person games. I mean, when I'm always like watching football, like I feel like I'm watching the video board um almost more than I'm maybe like watching the game. Like you can like see the game on the video board, like all of that. So I just feel like it plays a major part in the game.
Yeah, because I feel like for like especially football games, like there's so much hype going into like before kickoff. Like all these teams have like their like special intros and everyone gets all excited. But then like kind of like the third or fourth quarter, I'm like kind of tired and like falling asleep. But I feel like a lot of the team, I know Clemson like going to like the fourth quarter will play like their like video montage, and then because I went to Virginia Tech before and they'd have like this like video segment every game in like the third quarter, and it'll kind of like wake me up a little bit and like kind of bring all the fans back into the game who are kind of like getting tired and like falling asleep during the game.
Mhm. Can I also like what you're I off of Lane's answer there, um it got kind of got me thinking like if I was in the nosebleeds at Memorial Stadium and there was no score like video board at all, I'm like I can't see the game. I don't know what's going. I'm just gonna watch it on my phone. And then what's the point of even sitting there? So I think that's maybe more no, that's still this question, but like you're gonna it feels like sometimes you go there and you're not even watching you're so if you're so far away, you're not even watching the actual game, you're watching it on the screen. So it's like why you're just there for the atmosphere and then what you're gonna talk to like people next to you. So I think like bridging that gap, not just between like people at home, but people just in the place, but really far away from the action. It's pretty interesting. It's a
Yeah,
good point.
definitely.
Especially like football games, like when you're sitting so happy, you can't even like sometimes you'll like see a play and not even like, know what happens. Like I know I was at the game where Odell made like the one-handed catch, but I was on like the opposite side of the stadium, like way up, and I just see someone just like flail their arms and the crowd goes crazy, and I'm just like, what happened? Like I don't even know if like he caught it or what.
Wow.
And then they kept showing the replay, and that kind of like brought all the fans even like more like together, so they can actually like see what happens or see what happened.
Yeah, it was probably like was it like the lower bowl was able to see it, but were you like kind of up there? And
Yeah, I
then
was on like
like it was
the
like
other
delayed
side of the end
reaction,
zone.
like you had to wait yours part of the stands had to wait until it showed up on the video board just because of like distance.
Yeah, no one knew what happened.
Yeah, that's cool though.
That's super cool. And going off of what Charlie was talking about before, I think the video board plays a huge role in keeping momentum for teams, especially, later in games when fans are starting to get tired and worn out. Fourth quarter video definitely helps. And also coming out of timeouts in basketball, a team like could go on a run, make a couple shots, get a steal, make a shot, and then the opposing team can call a timeout. And that momentum kind of fades. But then if the video board does its job, it brings that momentum right back and you come in hot off the timeout. And also, like I'm a huge Kansas fan and my dad went there, we're huge basketball fans. Um and their environment in Allen Fieldhouse is insane. And you wouldn't be able to feel that as a fan living in South Carolina on TV unless they had a good video board going there and getting the fans hyped up. And you can see the energy. They do a great job of showing the student section going crazy, getting people hyped up. And so it's electric inside there and the environment's great. All right, well, that was episode 3 of Tigers Unmuted. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you for episode 4.